Hey guys, this is Dinosaur Drawer, and this is the second part on how to draw the Gallimimus from Jurassic Park or Jurassic World. They kind of look the same on both movies. I must say they are a lot more detailed on the Jurassic World films than they are on the Jurassic Park films, because they didn't really need to be that much detailed in the Jurassic Park films. Alright, so what we're gonna do now is make this a little bit more like a bump over there. And yeah, we're just gonna draw in some lines. There's a line over here, and a couple of them going from over here down a little. Seem to be a lot coming from over there, and there's a little bit of shadow underneath them as well. And let's first draw a little bit of shadow in his face. There's a lot of shadow over here at this particular part, and then it just goes on until like over here. And maybe a little bit more like this, a little bit more detail in it. And then over here we have his nose, which is shaped kind of like a teardrop. Something like that. And we could make the shadow over here a little bit darker as well. And a bit of shadow over here. And behind this is the shadow. So it's kind of like this. And then we can draw in a couple of lines which get a little bit more detail in it, and a couple of lines over there. Something that looks kind of like this. And we're not gonna draw too many scales, of course. Alright, then this part is kind of dark. Alright, now we can kind of draw a couple of little teeth. Not too much detail in it, but just a couple of small pointy kind of teeth. That's all we need. Alright, and let's make this shadow a bit more like that. And now we should, this part is actually very dark, so let's draw a little bit of shadow over there, something like this, and then of course draw this a little bit darker. And yeah, we were actually working on this, the lower jaw part. And his jaws weren't that muscular, I guess, because it's a plant eater. It isn't a meat eater. Alright, and also a little bit of shadow around the eye, and maybe get something like a highlight in there. because the rest of his eye, I want to make it very dark as well. Just something like this. Just don't make it too dark, because we still need to be able to see his pupil in there. And then of course, sorry, my dog is making all kind of noises. And now, yeah, this is supposed to be very dark, so just draw it in very dark. Make sure to leave a highlight. Same over here, but this can just be very, just kind of black. Same goes for parts of his tongue. Something like this should be fine right now. The inside of his mouth is a little bit more dark. A couple of teeth protruding out of him. Alright, so now we have the basic shadow and detail on his face. Now we want a little bit of it to go to his neck. So a couple of lines like this. And just keep on drawing these lines, because these lines are actually everywhere on this dinosaur. Even at those kind of parts where we are right now. But make sure not to go too much overboard, so you don't see the little detail that you put in anymore. Also put those lines up here as well. And the way you actually make these lines very realistic is just by making them look pointy, kind of. On top they are very, well, I'll show you. When this is like the neck, just make sure to make the lines kind of like this. And if you do a lot of those lines, kind of get a 3D effect out of it. And just keep on doing this. Until we are at this point, because over here we want to have a little bit more shadow, because this is the part where his neck is kind of connected to the rest of his body. And also draw in a couple of those lines over here. Over here they're going to be a little bit darker. And also try and change the direction of your lines, because the dinosaur is actually in 3-dimensional kind of way. Over here we need to add the point where his shoulders actually at, so that's about over there. You don't want to miss that. It means that those lines are actually going to go like this over here. And the shadow is on the front of the dinosaur, so that means that this is the part where there's going to be a lot of shadow. And then they kind of go like this. And in this particular dinosaur you don't really see a lot of ribs, so that's actually a surprise, because I kind of expected there to be a lot of ribs over here, but there aren't. So Alright, and now over here we're just gonna do the same thing, but make sure that those lines are a little bit thinner and a little bit further apart from each other. And it's just really a random kind of pattern, because you can't really get it exactly right every single time, and it's a really large area as well. So this is actually kind of a hard part, to be honest, so pay close attention to what I'm doing. So up here the lines actually start going like this again. Alright. And they actually kind of overlap over here a little bit. And just put them a little bit farther apart over here. Change the direction sometimes. And make them less dark, because over here there will be a lot of light. And then just keep on drawing in this kind of strange random pattern over here on the bottom. And just keep on drawing that in. Until we are at that point. Alright, so now we can start on drawing some shadow for his muscles. And there's a lot of actual shadow over here. And also a couple of darker lines kind of coming from over there. Don't make them too dark. And also a lot of shadow over here. Alright. And now just, first we have to kind of do something like this. A couple of lines over there for the where his underarm connects to his upper arm. And a lot of shadow over here. Which actually goes until over here. You can still kind of see a bump over there. And then just continue on drawing these wrinkles and lines and stuff. Make them come from the darker parts of your drawing, and leave the lighter parts of your drawing a little bit more light into it. Alright, so now we can draw in a couple of scales on his fingers, and also over here, and a couple of them over there. You can barely see those. And then just keep on adding them until over there somewhere, and keep those lines coming. And kind of do the same over here, but make it a little bit darker in comparison with this one. I know that it's already quite dark, but this needs to be a little bit darker, just a tiny little bit, and a little less detail as well. And maybe you can leave a highlight on the top, like that. We could even leave a little highlight over there for the muscles. Alright, and then just also put some skills on this one. And the third one isn't visible, so just leave the third one. Alright, and then you can also just put a couple of darker lines in at some spots, some places. Maybe a little bit more shadow as well. Alright, and also, yeah, we're gonna give it kind of the pattern of the Jurassic World Gallimimus. So we might leave a little bit of a highlight up there, and that will make it look a little bit more realistic. On this part, there's a lot of shadow over here at this section, so it's kind of hard to see the textures and the wrinkles of the knee, but I just want to draw them in anyways because I really love to draw knees. And I'm gonna need my little piece of paper that I use, although I think I lost it somewhere. I'm not sure where it went, to be honest. Yeah, I really just can't find it. Although I just use, oh, got it. Alright. So also, I think that the further you go back onto your drawing, I mean in your perspective kind of way, the lighter the drawing kind of gets, because this part is further away and you want to focus on this part of the drawing. So over here it's very dark, and we have a couple of dark lines coming from out of there. Just a few of them, and then just draw in those very dark kind of lines, very close to each other, which create a textured kind of looking shadow. And then just put a couple of darker lines in it. And then just keep those lines coming from everywhere. And you can kind of try and make them as random as you can. For example, if you look at your own skin, those wrinkles everywhere, they're very random. So just try and recreate your own skin. I think that's the best way to put it. So also over here there will be a little bit shadow. It's not going to be too dark, but it's a little bit darker than the surrounding kind of area over here. And we have a muscle. This muscle actually goes down over here like this, and then kind of goes all the way on until his ankle over there. And then we have a couple of dents, a couple of dark lines, but that's basically all. Alright, then just keep on doing this. And if the shadow isn't dark enough, you can always just go back in and darken it in a little bit. Some places, for example the knee, just put a little bit of shadow on it. And maybe there's supposed to be a little bit more shadow this area. And also don't make your shadow too straight. Make sure you have a curve, like it's round, like the muscles. We're already at 22 minutes though, so I have to pay attention to how much time this will cost. But we'll see. Alright, and although the reference image isn't using it, I'm just going to be using it because it looks really kind of cool. Those rounded scales again. Sorry, that's my dog again. And by doing this, you don't really have to put that much more detail into his foot actually, because there already is well, it's not really that much detail, but it is kind of it looks like there's a lot of detail in there, and it will make the drawing look a lot better without you having to put too much of an effort. Well, you always have to put a lot of effort in your drawings, but it's better to use techniques that will cut the time in half that you need to draw what you want to draw. So then just keep on putting in a little bit of tone. Alright, so now for this foot, well, this whole leg actually, we need a lot of shadow over here. Right there, and also a lot of shadow goes like this, and then it kind of goes like this. And then those palms have a lot of shadow on them. And actually I don't see the claw on the side, so I guess that they don't have that one. let's hope that I'm right. Well, I actually hope that I'm right, because otherwise I won't be drawing it in for this drawing. And that would be a shame if it needed to be there. Because I'm trying to make it as accurate as I can compared to the movie, and sometimes scientifically accurate. Alright, and here is a lot of highlight section, so I'm not gonna do too much about that. Let's just put in those dark scales again. Let's make it go up all the way until there. Do the same thing over here. And then just a couple of lines everywhere. Keep on adding that detail. So this needs to be a little darker than everything else. Yeah, I'm really sorry for the noises that my dog is making right now. And then make this very dark on the bottom as well. Alright, and that should do it. Okay, so that brings us at the tail, which also has a lot of shadow over here. So I'm gonna quickly draw that in with a couple of those lines that I talked about earlier. Just put a lot of lines very close to each other, and that way it will look like a detailed shadow. And actually this goes on a lot further than I first expected, so just gonna draw that in as good as I can. And we have about 6 minutes left, so I have to finish this drawing within 6 minutes, or otherwise my camera will stop recording. I think it looks pretty decent already. And then it kind of goes away, the shadow over here, and then it comes back over here again. Very strange. So that's actually a shadow. And now we have to kind of make those lines again to connect it to the rest of his tail. A couple of wrinkles everywhere. And this is actually a way to draw most dinosaurs, to detail most of the dinosaurs that you can draw, just by adding those kind of wrinkles. It makes it look a lot more detailed and a lot more cooler. And then just a couple from above as well, and that creates a nice highlight at the middle. Alright, so yeah. Now what we want to try and do, let me get a little bit more shadow over there, this particular part. Alright. So now what we want to try and do is kind of get this pattern in it. So I'm just going to do something like this. Try and create that pattern that it has. By just making some dark triangular shaped things on his back. And it kind of stops over here somewhere. And this is actually also a little bit on the dark side as compared to the rest. And then the only place on its tail that it has more of those things are over here. So you can just draw it in like this. Yeah guys, I really apologize for the noises that my dog is making at the background. He just has a lot of energy, I'm sorry. And it kind of goes on for like over there until right there. Alright, so I think it looks kind of good. And yeah, let's get my autograph. Alright, so if you like the drawing, leave a like, comment below what you think about the drawing, and subscribe. This was Dinosaur Drawer, and goodbye.